we're up to, true crime fans. By the way, hi, it's still me, Patty Lee. This is still episode 36. We're on to our fourth case, which is, look at me, that is crazy. Oh, this is a little nutty. Hang with me here. If you are drinking apple pie wine, then you're drinking the same thing we are. Maybe you're drinking something else, but make sure you have a glass of something, even if it's just water. Good to hydrate, right? Okay, so case 4 is another of our Idaho cases. It is an update on a missing boy. And this does seem like a true abduction case, which most of these are not. Most times when kids go missing, unfortunately, it always ends up being related probably to a parent or caregiver. This case in Fruitland, Idaho, looks like a true abduction. Mikey Von Monkey is what they nicknamed him. He was just, I believe, turning 5. He'd be 6 now. He was very active, like me as a kid. And when I say active, I mean like hyperactive. Mind going, mouth going, body really going all the time. And he was smart and funny and social. He wanted to be out. He wanted to play with friends. He wanted to do things by himself. He had just had a new baby, I believe sister. He just wanted to do it all. And his mom had just started a new job. His dad was taking care of him, but his dad was also watching the baby. And so, like any 5-year-old who can do it all, while that one parent's busy with the baby, he went out and did his own thing. Unfortunately, Mikey liked to get out, and he was going to go visit his friends by himself, and he got out, I guess because he got out the back door, and I guess they did see him go down the street, and he did knock on he tried to knock on doors, like they have video ring cams, but not after a certain point. So they never found him. They haven't found him, and it's been over a year. So this happened not this summer, but the past summer. So last week, a woman who lived rather close, also in Fruitland, about a 5-minute drive, I believe it was, just like the next little street, cul-de-sac over. It's not clear if she called the police or if she was talking to someone who then reported it, I believe, to the police, that she knew where Mikey was buried, and that Mikey was buried in her neighbor's yard. And she knew this because her husband, Casey, told her, because he did it. And then, no, God told her. God told her that Casey did it. And then, it wasn't Casey who did it. No, it was Casey buried Mikey, but it was Aiden, this man Aiden, who did it, not Stacy. Stacy is her husband. She started out saying the body, she knew, because whoever, God, Stacy, or Aiden, whoever did something, she knew that he was in the neighbor's yard. But when police came and confronted her and, showed her an affidavit, then she said, well, it's in this over here, which was near the front part, I guess, of her property. And then she said, no, wait, Stacy buried him by the shed in the backyard. Okay, so this property is dug up. They're still digging this property up. This information broke, I think, during the weekend last week. I mean, I will tell you, I was very hesitant to speak on it because I don't know. It was, number one, I wanted to wait till, are they going to find anything? Is this, these cases, I don't know if you've been watching true crime a long time, you see things like the JonBenet case. This is my best example of this. The JonBenet case, there was 2 or 3 times where people confessed and said, no, I did it. Nope, it was in, like, the one person was in Thailand and said they did all these horrific things, and they brought that person back to the United States. And then DNA and everything, and it found it was impossible. So why, I started researching, why do people make false confessions and how common is it? And so if you are in an interrogation, it's very common to get the police to shut up. You tell them what you think they want to hear. That actually is unfortunately, very common. But there's also situations where people say things to get attention because it's a very high profile case and they want that for themselves. I know. And that reminds me a lot of little kids, right? Oh, I know what happened. I know who did it. And then they start telling you, and it's some weird, crazy story, and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, if you've worked with or known 4 and 5-year-olds, they know what happened. They'll tell you. I mean, and part of it is they just want confirmation from the authority. Like me. I have something that's worthwhile. Listen to me. So this woman, she is 35. I forget who first mentioned it, but I watched her pleading. I will tell you. And then I was not surprised. After they showed her pleading, which is the first time you're in court and you plead, they say these are your charges. Do you understand them? How do you plead? Guilty or not guilty? Do you have a lawyer? That's your first, after being arrested, that's your first, when the trial stuff, the court. And I've worked with the special ed population, and I would guarantee you her IQ is between 70, the high 70s, low 80s. I guess her job is driving a taxi, but I don't know what she really knows. I don't know what she thinks she knows. I definitely see the capacity to tell authority what they want to hear and to tell other people that they know of something important because of wanting to be important. I started thinking this too. At the same time I watched it, and I was like, and they said she was being looked at for competency. Okay, Idaho, we know what happens with competency. Boy, dyslexia. Competency. Why is that word hard for me to say right now? To be competent, competency. I don't know if it has anything to do with this. Sometimes it makes words hard. You'll know I had too much of my wine if I start saying cinnamon. Sometimes I say cinnamon. See, if I say it wrong at the beginning, it all trips through. That is dyslexia. All right, so again, something about the overall impression of her speaking, and then also hearing the competency, I was not surprised. I think not only is she not, I don't think she's not competent. I would think she has intellectual disabilities. And I think she might have just made something up. They haven't found anything, as far as I know. And I could be wrong. And Mikey was little, as most 5-year-olds are, and it's been over a year. And so there would be copious decomposition. Sorry to be gross. They are sifting through every bucketful. I mean, they are doing such huge due diligence. I'm just thinking everybody's wanting to hear something that they listened to somebody they shouldn't have. I really don't know. If that little boy was snatched, I can definitely see somebody just keeping him. He was cute and smart and funny. I mean, I don't even say is. He'd be older though, now 6. I just don't know if they're going to find his remains in that, I don't think she is a reliable source of information. That is just my opinion. Nobody else has said anything. I don't have any information from other sources for that. Quite frankly, that is my own opinion just from watching her speak. she, it's called thin slicing in cognition. I just got an immediate, like, big picture of, and then I did look up just about false confessions. How common are they? And then I looked up who's most likely. You'd be surprised. There are like academic and research articles on every single thing you would ever want to know about, and Google will help you find them. Google that. Hashtag Google that shit. So, yeah. Apparently, having an intellectual disability is one of the common features of people who are attention-seeking false confessors. So, and, you know, when they're not finding him, are they going to her? The funny thing was, in her first hearing, when they said, she goes, I heard you say the word murder. I didn't I'm not, like, I don't know. I think she made it up. I think it's a false confession. And I think it's a waste of time. Of course, if they find him, that will be heartbreaking. And of course I want him to be alive somewhere, adopted by somebody who couldn't have kids and leading an alternative life, and, his mom's heartbroken, but she'll meet him again and he'll be alive one day. Of course, that's what we want the story to be. And there are rare cases of children being held and alive. They're not great endings for the kid usually, but I'm sure his mom would love for him just to still be surviving. I don't know. We will find out. I don't like her story. I don't like the delivery of the story. I don't like that she changed who was involved, where they were supposed to dig. It just seemed so much like little kids I know who tell stories, and when you find one part that doesn't fit, they just give you another answer, hoping that you'll accept it and like them. Shockingly, I'm buying another bottle of this, and I'm going to be taking it to my holiday. I like the bottle too. All right. We're up to our case 5. This is an update on the Delphi case. So, what is going on with the Delphi case? Well, as you may have heard, and maybe not, there is a suspect that was arrested. And everybody was talking about this man. His name is Richard Allen. He was a local, and everybody's like, see, I knew there was somebody that was living in plain sight. And, usually in a small town, the person doing the crime is part of the small town. And it's easier in a small town to figure out who it is. It's not usually, because it's small. Something interesting in his charging documents that not everybody specifically found evidence for. It was spoken about on a couple of my lawyer channels. I think Scott Wright on Crime Talk, who's a defense attorney, brought it up. I also think Lori Hellis on when she did her crime review. And she has a new podcast. Lori Hellis is the good Lori. She predominantly started out talking about the Daybell case. She is a retired lawyer, and she's writing a book about the Lori and Chad Daybell case. But she just started her own YouTube channel. She was on Hidden True Crime with reporter Lauren Mathias and Lauren's criminal psychologist husband, John Mathias. They also started on Daybell crime. They are also branching out to other crimes. But Lori Hellis is just doing kind of a quicker version of what I'm doing, but she does it live, and she has interaction with people. I just blab at you and give you something to listen to when you're doing the dishes or walking your dog or driving to and from work or whatever, falling asleep and you need blah, 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 blah to, make you go to sleep. That's how I use podcasts. So, of course, I'm just assuming everybody's like me. Whatever you use a podcast for. Okay, it's late at night and I'm doing my whole dyslexic showing you exactly what dyslexia is like. That's the ADHD. I just floated away there for a second. But anyways, she has also talked about a little bit about every case. She's doing like a little small roundup, and she has a lawyer perspective. So I think she has mentioned what I'm about to say this other guy has found evidence for. So people have said, they're not saying he's the killer. They're saying that he's involved in a felony murder. And and lawyers were trying to tell us, what does that mean? And I believe also Duty Ron and the Bill Cannon on Police Off the Cuff, two good sources for podcasts that give you the police perspective. They were saying it doesn't necessarily have to be like, it's not just murder one. It is felony murder, which could mean there's accomplices, or he's an accomplice, or he's part of a felony crime that resulted in the murders of Abby and Libby. Abby and Libby were two beautiful tween girls. They were young. I think they were 12 and 13, pre-high school. They were in middle school. There was a warm day on February 13th was when they went for a walk in like a nature preserve. They actually had been talking, or Libby had been talking to what they thought was a good-looking teenage boy, really, by the name of Anthony Schatz. And that account had been saying, hey, let's meet at the Monon High Bridge in this preserve on this date. So somebody lured the girls to meet them. And they went missing that afternoon, and then their bodies were found the next day. And this was coming up on 6 years ago. The actual crime, sorry, I should know this. So this man, there's been a number of people looked at. One of them ran that Anthony Schatz account. His name was Keegan Klein, and they're like, is he the one? He was arrested because Keegan's information included all this, like Children of the Corn. If you put a P in front of corn, imagine that. He had a lot of Children of the Corn pictures on his, I'm trying to use YouTube-friendly language here, pictures on his phone, on his laptop, on his other phone, He'd like iPhones, Android phones. You get the picture. Pictures no one wants to get, or should have. So he's in jail for all those Children of the Corn. And interestingly, as Richard Allen was notified as he's a subject, they went to his house, and a week later they arrested him. During that same time, Keegan Klein was supposed to be going up for his trial on these Children of the Corn issues, and he got 5 charges. Now, of 30, he got 5 dropped, so he still has 25. But he got some substantial dropping of charges right at that same time, and they're going to wait. On his trial is delayed. Often when people make deals, they have to, if they tell the prosecution something that they want to hear, the prosecution makes them wait. They have to tell on the other person, it has to be good before they get the deal. So it seems like the police aren't saying they're connected, but it seems awfully weird that the one guy who had the account that brought the girls to the area in which they were killed, that suddenly he's getting something taken off, and we have another subject. And they found something at his house, and we had been told that whoever unalived the girls had taken trophies with them. They were missing some pieces of clothing. We don't know what they found. They also searched a river. So did Keegan tell them, look here, and then you can look here, and you will find proof that what I'm telling you about this guy is right? He was a pharmacist. So I said, I don't know, could he have had ether because he worked in a pharmacy, something that would knock the girls out? Are there a number of people involved in this? We don't know. There's been a number of other people. What the other person, a farmer whose land upon which they were found, who was making people give them alibis before the girls were found and announced that there was a murder. So some people are like, yeah, but it was on his land, so maybe he saw it, knew he'd be in trouble, and needed a alibi, which is weird, because if you didn't do it, wouldn't you just get the police? But anyways, who knows? That guy, he died of COVID this past January. So he's out of the picture. But the FBI is still involved in this. It seems like maybe there's a network of something, because the felony murder, this guy, so the guy I wanted to tell you about, the YouTuber who discovered this like evidence of what was going on, is Anthony Mark Lopez. And he's a YouTube lawyer. Look for Anthony Mark with a C, Lopez, Lopes. He's an Indiana lawyer, and he's done like 5 little videos, really quick, nothing like mine, on why Richard Allen is charged with felony murder and how he knows that it's not like murder one, he's the murderer. Because if you look at any code, there's like U.S. code, there's state code, there's municipal code. They're listed by a number, and then like letters, and then numbers in parentheses, and then like Roman numbers. There's a system to it by why it changes from what kind of number and letter. But it changes from like then brackets to then parentheses to brackets. But along this, I know just enough about how law is identified to understand what he was saying. Is it had a 2 in a bracket, which definitely signifies it's a felony murder charge with that 2 in it, which means there was a commission of a felony that led to the murder that this guy's charged with. So like not just murder, but a felony that led to and contributed substantially to the murder of Libby and Abby. Libby German and Abby Williams. So what was this? Oh, the list of what these felonies, there's specific felonies that are included in this code. Corn is one of them. The children of the corn is one of them. Trafficking children, like, of the corn. Abuse of the corn kids. I mean, you guys, really horrific crimes are part of this. So as you can imagine, looking at the account that lured them, lured, I think that's how you say it. Let's drink to that, lured. The account that lured them there to the bridge, and then put that together with what this guy's charged with, and the fact that the FBI is still involved. I mean, are we dealing with some sort of group? That's what it kind of looks like. But we know at least that Richard Allen is involved, so there's at least more than one person. And we can very logically assume that Keegan Kline had something to do with it, because he was in charge of the account that lured the children there, which means, did he give that to Richard Allen? Was he selling these accounts to other men who wanted to contact young girls? Was there a group? Like, what was his customer base? That's the kind of direction I think we're going. So it's gross, but we're getting closer to what happened to Abby and Libby. I'm just looking at my notes here. Oh, the other weird thing was, when they mentioned him as a suspect, they just lately it came out that he had gone to the police. Maybe he knew about geofencing, because he said, I just want to let you know, because we're looking for these girls. I was in the park that day, and I went on that bridge, but I didn't see them, and this is what time I was there. So, I'm just a good citizen helping you establish a time frame. And really, it could have been just, hi, I'm coming to you to tell you something to help out. Oop, hi, baby. And also, by the way, my phone probably pinged in this area about this time, and I'm telling you, so you can rule me out. And they kind of did. So without Keegan blabbing to save his own skin, we never probably would have known. So yeah, it's weird that he would just offer that he was at the bridge. So they're saying, so he is bridge guy, but I still don't know if he is bridge guy. We had another picture, remember, that came out later. I think there's more than one. I think there's, I don't think it's one person. How do you get two people? The other thing that somebody mentioned was when, I don't know if I said this last week, but somebody said when the voice says guys down the hill, what if they weren't talking to the two little girls? What if there was a group of people ready to do this and the main person was saying, okay guys, we're going to take them down the hill? And that's how they controlled two little girls, because there was more than one grown-up guy. Again, that part, that's just me. That's my supposition. And again, the only thing we can do is we can teach our children. Now, if you saw that freaking bridge, there was nowhere for them to run. That was the other scary thing. They lured them on to a place and onto this bridge that you couldn't like run off on either side. It dropped down 100 feet, like 3 or 4 stories it looked like. I don't even know how that place can exist in a park without having sides on it, because it's Indiana, I guess. I don't know. That seems weird. But they really were like herded into like sheep to a slaughter. This is going to turn to be a horrible trial. And I think that's another reason. We know there was like a ritualistic aspect to this as well. I do think we are talking about more than one person. It's going to be disgusting and gross, and I feel sorry for the families. And everything is still sealed. So November 22nd is when there's a hearing to unseal the arrest charges, the indictment for Richard Allen. So the family wants it kept sealed, but really it benefits all of us. That stuff should be public, because we think like, okay, well, we need to respect the family's wishes and they got the bad guy. But the thing is, what if it's not a bad guy? What if they really don't have that much, but they have enough and they're trying to squeeze him for more information? Like, that's playing the devil's advocate. You know, what if he was innocent? And what if, I don't know where they found the information, but what if Keegan Kline himself had placed evidence on other people's property to get them to help? Like, you don't know where I put this, but I got something on you, and if you don't help me, I'm going to turn you. Like, what if he put it? I don't know if the evidence that they found, because they were digging in his yard. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, it seems like there is a lot of coincidental corroboration that, yes, he looks good for this, or helping out with this at least, but we don't know. And that's scary, because what if he was an innocent guy and they're saying, ooh, he's part of this big bad thing, and we can't tell you about it because it's really bad, but trust us. I mean, I haven't run afoul of the police, and so I generally trust them, but I'm white and middle class, and I haven't been in a position where, I don't go out late at night. I mean, I haven't put myself in the position where a bad police officer could do something to me. So I generally trust the police. You know, they're community helpers and blah, blah, blah. But I understand that is not true for everybody and every police officer, and some are great and some aren't, just like some people are good and some aren't. So all I'm saying is that, does he look good for it? Sure, but we should see, and we should all want to see. When you're arrested, they have to tell you and the public, see, we got this bad guy, and here's the reason why. Here's how you know we're not abusing our power and just imprisoning people to get them to talk. Because like I said, false confessions, number one reason isn't that there's somebody seeking attention. Number one reason for a false confession is because they just want a bad interrogation, like abusive interrogation, to end. So one reason we don't want abuse is so that it's called, transparency. That's why sunshine laws are written for government. We don't want them to do, you think, oh, it's in secret to keep us safe so that whatever, but no. Once you arrest somebody, that's why you don't arrest somebody until you're ready to show your cards. It's like calling in poker. See, this is what I have. I beat you. It's like going, see, the guy is bad or the lady is bad. We're putting them in jail. But we don't know that. So maybe on the 22nd, we will find out. Doesn't bring back the girls, but we would like the parents to get all the information. And I know it is horrific to think everybody's going to hear what happened to your child when they've been harmed. Unfortunately, to put the bad guys away and make sure they're really the ones, that's just how the system works. So I feel sorry for the families, but I don't know. Hopefully, I do hope on the 22nd we get the indictment. I mean, they can redact certain things. But if you're not ready to go, then you don't start arresting people. That is the issue. All right. On to the next case. Bloop, bloop. Like and subscribe, please.